Phase 5 is already almost here, and looking at the lineup of films and TV shows, my brain feels like it's going to explode with all the awesomeness that's coming our way.
It's been Agatha all along.
But one thing I'm curious about is, out of all the Phase 5 characters, who's the most powerful?
It was me.
Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'll be breaking down a lot of powerful people that we're going to see in Phase 5 and basically rank them in a totally accurate list that everyone will agree with. You ready to dive in? Let's talk about the most powerful Phase 5 characters right now. Yeah, of course Kang the Conqueror is going to be the most powerful character of Phase 5. I mean, it would be weird if he wasn't, right? He's the new big bad that's gotta not only top Thanos, but also unite all of our heroes as he threatens to conquer the entire multiverse. So expect him to be a pretty big heavy hitter. But the fun part is waiting to see what exactly his skill set is going to be. Yeah, he's a genius time traveler, but will his advanced technology and impressive physique make him the strongest physical threat the Avengers have ever faced? I'm so excited to see what Kang can do. Adam Warlock should have been one of the most powerful characters in the Infinity Saga, but now that that chapter is closed, where exactly does Adam fit in? We know he's in Guardians Volume 3, and his origin from the previous movie is that he's supposed to be literally the perfect specimen, and to me that means ultra powerful. He's usually portrayed with all your standard abilities like strength and durability, but he has a ton of extra powers in the comics. And with Adam also potentially comes his dark alter ego, and he could be one of the biggest villains ever. So yeah, I really hope Adam is here to stay in the MCU because he can shake things up big time.
You cannot quell a god.
I think one of the big problems people have with Captain Marvel is that she was said to be one of the most powerful heroes in all the universe, but we haven't exactly gotten to see her show off her powers. Yeah, she's kicked butt, but not in the way her reputation deserves. I think that's going to change with Captain Marvel in Phase 5. I think her incredible cosmic power will be on full display in the upcoming film The Marvels, and she'll position herself as one of the greatest heroes who can stand against Kang. She's not only strong, but also a natural leader and is one of the Avengers' best weapons in a pinch.
I like this one.
High Evolutionary will be the main villain in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and if he's anything like his comic counterpart, then the Guardians are about to face their strongest foe yet. In the comics, High Evolutionary was a normal man who altered his genetics until he eventually evolved into a being of godlike proportions. He's supposed to be one of the smartest minds in the whole universe, which makes putting him against the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of hilarious, because they're more plucky than they are smart, so that'll be an interesting matchup. But he's not just some egghead in a chair, he also has an extremely strong exoskeleton, which makes him a strong physical threat as well.
I am not a forgery!
Speaking of smarty pants, I'm thrilled to say that we're finally getting MODOK in the MCU. The mental organism designed only for killing is going to show up in Quantumania. And if I was a betting man, I would say he has to be the main villain of Quantumania. Like, Kang can't be the big bad, right? Because the Ant-Man team can't just beat him in this movie, so that leaves MODOK. But I'm not worried. MODOK is a hideous little threat with a big head and a weaponized body that can vaporize you in an instant. He may not be able to walk out in public and not get some strange looks, but that doesn't matter when he's so smart and so deadly. And I'm still waiting to see if those Darren Cross as MODOK rumors turn out to be true. Agatha Harkness highlights the magical side of the MCU, and now that Scarlet Witch is gone for now, Agatha might be our main viewpoint into the dark arts.
You're supposed to be a myth, a being capable of spontaneous creation.
She proved in WandaVision that she's capable of going toe-to-toe with the Scarlet Witch, and her unique dark magic skill set sets her apart from more normal magic users like Doctor Strange and Wong. We saw some of her powers unleashed in her first appearance, but I think with her own spin-off show, we're going to see a whole new side to her powers, which will make her one of the strongest Phase 5 characters. Loki was always pretty powerful, but Phase 4 put him in a unique position.
Enough! You are all of you beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature.
He now is at the forefront of the battle against Kang the Conqueror, and that makes the God of Mischief one of the most important characters in the MCU. And we saw in Phase 4 that Loki is continuing to learn how to use new powers. Before, his illusions were relatively minor, and he could depend on his charm to worm his way out of fights. But with Sylvie by his side, something has been unlocked within Loki that gives him better control over his sorcery than ever before. What new things will Loki learn in Season 2? Only time will tell. Right next to Loki, there's Sylvie, who proved to be one of the breakout characters of Phase 4. She's a Loki variant, but she clearly has a better mastery of her powers than Loki and has even taught our main Loki some new tricks.
Are you sure you're a Loki?
You're in my way.
You are my way.
I only put her beneath Loki because I think now the two are a little more equal in their skills than they were at the beginning of the season. But Loki knows how to manipulate the situations in his favor a bit more than Sylvie. Though Sylvie has a dangerous side, as she's the type willing to stab he who remains and essentially unleash Kang on the multiverse. Groot is arguably the character who's gone through one of the biggest character changes in the MCU. I mean, think about it. He's gone from regular Groot to baby Groot to teenage Groot, and each personality has been different. In fact, James Gunn has said that baby Groot is not just the same Groot, but rather OG Groot's son, so this Groot is completely different. So what will Groot be like in Guardians 3? Well, if he's anything like his father, he's going to be incredibly powerful. With super strength and the ability to regrow any part of his body, he's a force to be reckoned with. When he was a teen, his arm was capable of being strong enough to be Stormbreaker's handle. So now that he's even older, he's going to be even stronger. Some people don't like the changes to Miss Marvel's skill set, but I don't mind them, especially since I think stretching is kind of tough to portray in live action, and I like the potential her updated skills have. She can create light constructs thanks to her superpowered bangle and her mutant genetics, and they seem to work similarly to Green Lantern's ability. That means she's able to use her powers to create constructs of whatever she wants, and if she's able to master that power, she'll become one of Earth's mightiest heroes. She has a little ways to go though, so we'll see what happens in the Marvels movie. I think Wasp is more powerful than Ant-Man. Yeah, Ant-Man's name is first on the poster, but Hope has proven she's not only a better fighter than Scott, but also has more powers with her suit. Like, Ant-Man only has shrinking and growing capabilities so far, but Wasp has the ability to fly and shoot specialized blasts from her suit, which I think gives her an advantage in just about any fight.
Hold on, you gave her wings?
She's clearly trained to take down a group of mercenaries in a way that Scott just can't comprehend. I think they make a great team together, but Wasp is more powerful. You know, before Phase 4, I would have put Sam Wilson's Captain America lower on this list. I love Sam as a character, but always thought his getting the shield over Bucky was the wrong choice, especially since Sam is just a regular fleshy human.
The legacy of that shield is complicated.
But then the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show changed my mind. It proved not only why having a regular human like Sam being Captain America was important, but then showed that Sam is an even better fighter now thanks to the combination of his wings and his new shield. It's a wonderful combination, and pair that with Sam's leadership abilities and his overall compassion for the people around him, and I think Sam is more than capable of leading whatever Avengers team comes next. Sure, a bullet to his exposed head would take him out of commission, but bad guys have terrible aim, right? Kingpin is back, and I think he's even more powerful than before. Kingpin in the Netflix show was a dangerous criminal mastermind, but already he has a different energy about him in the MCU. He's someone who even Hawkeye is afraid of, and that dude has fought as Guardians, killer robots, aliens, and the Yakuza. Kingpin is apparently a big deal enough where an Avenger can't even take him down, and it will be interesting to see what kind of power Kingpin has in New York as time goes on. He also seems a little superpowered. His body is way more durable than in the Netflix show, with Kingpin taking arrows to the chest, getting hit by cars, and blowing up, and having that all not faze him. What's his deal? Cassie Lang is going to be a big part of the new Ant-Man movie, and we know she's officially suiting up in her own suit, so that'll be a lot of fun. Definitely an interesting family dynamic, don't you think? And even though she'll be new to the whole Ant-Man thing, I think Cassie will surpass her father in terms of skill. I know, that's a bold thing to say, but in the comics, stature doesn't technically need the suit in order to grow and shrink. Her being exposed to Pym particles changed her DNA, and now she can do that on her own. I don't know how the new Ant-Man movie will adapt that, especially since promo art sees Cassie wearing a suit, but I'm curious to see how that unfolds. Union Jack is one of the characters who's rumored to show up in Secret Invasion, possibly portrayed by one of the greatest living actresses around, Olivia Colman. Now, Union Jack is an interesting character. None of the different versions of him really have special powers, but rather they are just athletic individuals who are masters of espionage and spy work, which I think is an undervalued skill in the MCU. Sometimes you don't have to be a flashy hero, but rather just know how to play the game to get info that you want. I hope that's the version of Union Jack that we get, because that adds a whole new element to this universe. Mantis' powers allowed the Guardians to get the upper hand against Ego the Living Planet, and also almost beat Thanos in Infinity War. She's a powerful empath that can feel the emotions of others and also influence the emotions of those around her. I think in Guardians Volume 2 and Infinity War, she was still coming into her own. And I'll admit, I wasn't a fan of the comedy surrounding just insulting her personal appearance in Volume 2. But now, in Phase 5, I think she's going to really shine. All the interviews about her character in the upcoming film show that Mantis is ready to fight and be more aggressive with what she wants. And that's going to make her even more powerful. Nick Fury may not have any powers, but it's hard to argue he's one of the most powerful humans on Earth. He's always one step ahead of everybody, and he always has a plan and a contingency plan for that plan. He's built up a worldwide network for himself and has seemingly spent the last few years developing a new space station to better protect Earth from otherworldly threats. The thing about Nick Fury is that the same attack won't normally work on him twice. He'll have found a defense and a plan to stop the same things from happening again, and that's a level of power that's almost unparalleled in the MCU. Alright, I know I'm being a little unfair to Ant-Man by placing him so low, especially below Wasp and Cassie Lang, but I just think Scott is just a little too goofy to really harness his powers to reach his true potential. Let me put it this way. The What If episode that featured Hank Pym going crazy and successfully eliminating all the other Avengers is great. Now, can you imagine Scott doing that? No.
Somebody peed my pants.
He's just too lovable and dorky. If his tech fell into the wrong hands, they'd be the most powerful supervillain on Earth. Though on the other hand, I didn't take into consideration Scott's unmatched skills with close-up magic. Rocket Raccoon was always an unpredictable little rabbit who can make a bomb out of mostly anything, but I'm actually really excited to see where his character goes in Phase 5. He lost everyone for 5 years thinking he'd never see them again, so what's that going to be like now that he, along with Nebula, were the only ones still around? They may not address that, but I think that would be a missed opportunity to show how much Rocket has grown and learned. And boy, if he's learned to be less sporadic and impulsive, then he's going to be much more powerful. Daredevil's return is one of the most hotly anticipated returns of any Marvel project. Yes, we'll see him in Phase 4 for a bit in She-Hulk, but Phase 5 is where he's really going to shine in a bit part in that Echo show, followed by his own series on Disney+. And on the cosmic scale of things, Daredevil isn't that powerful, but on the street level side of things, he's definitely one of the most powerful heroes. He's a commanding presence, has unmatched determination, and is one of the best hand-to-hand fighters in the world, all while having his sonar ability that gives him an undeniable edge against villains. So he may not be on Thor's level, but Daredevil is in a league of his own. Monica Rambeau's abilities were teased at the start of Phase 4, and in Phase 5, we'll get to see just how powerful she's become. Right now, she can see different forms of energy that other humans can't see, along with energy absorption abilities and making herself intangible. Her different powers make her eyes glow different colors, and in the upcoming movie, The Marvels, I imagine we're going to see a whole spectrum of different colors that allow Monica to access a whole range of powerful abilities. Blade's role in the MCU is still shrouded in mystery. Presumably, he's a secretive vampire hunter who has enjoyed working from the shadows to protect the world against the unknown threat of vampires that lurk in the darkness. But Eternals presented a curious path for the vampire hunter. We know Blade showed up in the Eternals post-credit sequence with knowledge of the Black Knight's sword, which seems to imply Blade is more in tune with the dark arts than how we expected him to be portrayed. Will Blade be the potential leader of a Midnight Suns or Dark Avengers team? If that's the case, then he'll be pretty powerful. The whole arc for Spider-Man after Tony's death was how he thought he needed to become the next Iron Man, when really he needed to focus on being his own hero. And that's great for him, but what about the actual next Iron Man? Well, it looks like Phase 4 and 5 will introduce us to Riri Williams, who promises to fill that technical genius in a suit role we've been missing since Tony's Endgame death. Riri will become Ironheart and have her own Phase 5 show, and will show us the next evolution of Iron Man. I think Riri will do just fine on her own, especially with all that Wakandan tech it looks like she'll have. But I'd immediately move her up on this list if RDJ returned to voice her AI. Echo made such an impact in the Hawkeye TV show that she got her own spin-off. We don't know that many story details, but we know she'll be facing off against Kingpin and that Daredevil will pop up. Her arc is going to be an interesting one, as she'll have to go from villain to potential hero over the course of her show. Echo in the comics was able to copy other people's abilities thanks to photographic reflexes, and while the MCU hasn't really shown Maya as capable of doing that quite yet, she's still an incredible fighter capable of going toe-to-toe with Hawkeye, so you know she can handle herself in a fight. I hope the Thunderbolts movie features Baron Zemo in Phase 5. I also hope we get the best version of the character. Civil War gave us a Zemo who was a meticulous but depressed planner who could map out the tiniest details and successfully broke up the Avengers. Wow.
My name is Zemo. I will repeat my question.
Then Falcon and the Winter Soldier introduced us to a Zemo who was a bit quirkier, a bit more eccentric, and had way more personality. I hope both of those elements of the character are combined into one in the Thunderbolts movie, because then Zemo is truly one of the biggest and most enjoyable threats on the planet. I think we'll get some fun cameos from characters in Phase 5 that will affect this power ranking in the long run. Like, where would you put Spider-Man or Shang-Chi or Moon Knight on this list? Any other heavy hitters you expect to show up? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching CBR.